Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara. Episode 44. Shri Mahaswami, the sage with eyes of light, the diary of a seeker of truth, Dr.Serge Demetrian. Dear devotees, now we shall listen to the second section, part 3 of this divine book under the subtitle Around the River Arani. Kottapetta, 12th November 1971. He entirely absorbs me. This morning I woke up quite rested after the heavy efforts of yesterday. The sky is cloudy. Perhaps it would rain, and neither umbrella nor thicker cloths are with me. Shri Mahaswami went to the river. In the meantime, I took my breakfast. Then I had a ceremonious shave done by the barber of the village. With his handcrafted shaving knife, he cut me only twice. There followed the bath at the river. Here everything happens in public and with the public. One is not spared even if one tries to retire for some urgent needs. The entertainment must be rare in these remote places, and opportunities to meet foreigners must be few. Some of my new friends inform me that Sri Mahaswami is once again in the cowshed. The feet infection bothers me less, and I swiftly start to meet him. I find him meditating, closed eyes, very far from the human level. He seems leaner. As I enter the cowshed, he comes out of his meditation. His eyes are the same, full of world of nuances. He allows me to remain 1 hour in his presence, all the time exactly in front of him. Now and then he stares at me with his largely open eyes that had a small luminous point in the middle. They seem limitless, 2 irregular openings out of which gush cold and diffuse rays of bluish light. If he looks at me in a definite way, he entirely hollows me out through the orifices of my eyes. Nothing is left of me but a tiny outward sheet like transparent cigarette paper. What is he able to do simply by 2 eyes? My meditation could not have continued the same way as yesterday, as the gifts I had received had to be assimilated. Now and then he allowed a pass, just some seconds, before the headache and the fatigue imposed themselves. In fact, he observed the lurking shadow of fatigue even before the eye observed it. Once normality is restored, he started working again on me, even as a fine whistle sound could be perceived in the head and the ears. It disappeared soon after. He sent me outside at the moment he estimated that I had received what was necessary. Almost every time the mind is taken by surprise. I never know what will happen. One has to trust and follow. This is all. In the afternoon, I took some rest. I moved into a cowshed where I tried to take shelter, and from where, in the cold, I looked outside at an incessant rain. My foot pain began again. The mucaso in my mouth and elsewhere are irritated because of the nervous efforts. To this is added the deafening noise of a band of excited children who had occupied the entire place and were playing around me with the calves and the baby goats. As to complete the picture, and for my exclusive pleasure, an especially insisting visitor wanted to know everything about me. He had cornered me, and I had to undergo a thorough cross-examination. By the evening, I tried to meditate and read 2 pages of the Lagu Yoga Vashishta. During the night, I hardly rested on my bed of woven robes that looked more like a fakir couch. So much are the knots hard and unpredictable. I have also the benefit of the company of 2 elderly people who had chronic coughs. They were relatives of the owner. Usually it was only one. They were coughing, then smoking small, strong peasant cigars, beedies, and were coughing again, and then smoking anew, and so on. It was impossible to sleep. This happens when one does not accept one's destiny. I felt very much annoyed with a single smoker. Now I have been sent too. Kottapetta, 13th November 1971. The 4 or 5 voices of Sri Mahaswami. A very difficult night. I woke up by 2:30 a.m. and straight away heard Sri Mahaswami talking with someone in the shed of the water pump. It was a blessing to hear the vibrations of his voice. While listening, I systematically went through my observations regarding the manner in which he expresses himself. He has several ways to speak. His true voice, the original voice, which I heard 3 times up to now. Once I was in the company of other persons. Twice I was alone with him. Every time it was at night, and every time he was singing a very simple melody, a sort of hymn, sermon. This voice, the true one, seemed to me made of the same material as the lightning of his eyes. It was a sort of luminous elixir, including everything that can be imagined as excellent for all our senses at the same time: hearing, sight, touch, smell, taste. This thread always swayed in gracious movements on a dark background and was discreetly lighted by its own luminosity. The last one were only a few notes, a sort of call. I heard and felt. As all the senses were taking part, this happened in Karveti Nagar in the night. A loud, deep, authoritative voice when Sri Mahaswami recites slokas and saintly names. One feels the spiritual weight of the words. I think this is the way he plays his own part in being identical to Ishvara in the work of purification of the universal movement, that is, the work of creation and sustenance of the universe. The customary or usual voice, that is, a constructed or set voice when he talks, somewhat was ventriloquists do. By long exercises, I suppose, Sri Mahaswami has succeeded in rendering it clear and beautiful. However, by attentively listening, we can observe, especially at the beginning of the discourses, that he has chosen with some effort the convenient tone, and then some application is required to maintain the designated level. Sri Mahaswami can express himself through a voice devoid of sound, a whisper. At that time, the language of signs where he excels is the most developed. A professional mime would not do it better, and this by maintaining the entire dignity which is appropriate to the position of the venerable lineage of Sri Shankaracharya Mat, of which he was the head. Finally, the way of expressing himself during the periods of extreme silence, Kashta Mauna, then he hardly moves his eyes in a sign of approval and assurance, or he turns slightly the head or the hands by sketching a questioning gesture. One can read in his eyes an immense compassion and a goodness that surpasses the limits of every human imagination. The day has been painful. The rain compelled me to stay home, that is, under the canopy of the external covered veranda. By morning, I have, however, succeeded in bathing during the rain at the river amidst primitive conditions, comprising in particular the walk across an exceedingly muddy sugarcane field. The infection at my heroic foot has diminished, as I had located an assistant nurse in the neighborhood who applied a rudimentary hygienic dressing that was acceptable given the situation. Devotees, we shall continue to listen to Around the River Arani in the coming episode, bowing at the holy feet of the Gurus. Om Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara.